Today in the crypto space, we see the market going sideways. Bitcoin at about 26,300 and Ethereum still hovering around that $1,600 mark. The rest of the crypto space, the altcoins, are also a mix of green and red. Some dips, some pumps, but at the end of the day, guys, we're seeing a lot of sideways action. In today's video, I want to talk about the general market. I want to use Bitcoin as a leading indicator, but more importantly, I want to talk about one altcoin that is definitely doing very well, and that project is called Dynex. So you know what? Let's talk about the news. Let's analyze the charts, and let's strategize to capitalize. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mike, and let's get right into it, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome. On the channel, we talk about cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the altcoins. Looking for opportunities, whether we go up or down, bearish or bullish, it doesn't matter. All we want to do is stay one step ahead of the market so that we can capitalize on any of that volatility. And if you appreciate the strategy, subscribe to the channel and click that bell so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, including those live streams at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action, guys. If you have any projects that you want me to cover in today's video or tonight live, feel free to join the live stream at 7:30, but better yet, hit me up on those socials. The links are in the description below. Feel free to join that Discord. Of course, lots of good alpha there, trade setups, fundamentals, learning material, and all that good stuff. All right, guys, let's begin. What is happening here today? Bitcoin got a bit of a pump and then a quick dump to the downside. Guys, what a bull trap. At the end of the day, that is a big bull trap. You know, we did identify a nice bullish divergence yesterday, and it did kind of play out, but then as soon as we got to, you know, pretty much previous highs type of thing at that consolidation, we got a huge rejection. Now, it doesn't mean that we can't come back up there. It doesn't mean that. It just means that that bit of a rejection that we got there means that there's a bit of, you know, a bearish sentiment at that level, and let's see what happens overall. Bitcoin is still in the chop zone, unfortunately. No real signals, no real conviction in any direction. So for me, Bitcoin is not that interesting, other than the fact that if Bitcoin makes an expansion move any day now, we could see some real reactions in this market. And this is why I'm tracking Bitcoin very carefully day by day. All right, look at Ethereum doing a very similar thing. BNB retracing again. A lot of these altcoins are definitely also following Bitcoin's movement to the upside and then right back down to the downside, guys. That whipsaw price action is what gets people wrecked. So be careful here. We have Maker still looking very strong, up approximately 4% in the last 24 hours. So still holding up and grinding to the upside for Maker. Pretty good there. VeChain going sideways, a little bit of a dip, but nothing great. And Optimism and Arbitrum, the layer 2s, the new layer 2s are pretty much going sideways, maybe in a great accumulation phase. And guys, as we see, this market is either going sideways or grinding to the downside even more, and that's a very unfortunate thing that we're seeing this right now. But this is the time to accumulate. That's the reality. Look at Kava potentially breaking below those double bottoms, below the range, not looking the greatest, right? And we see some other opportunities, of course. Maybe Fracture is ready for that rollover, up approximately 10%. It lost 2% of its gain, so it must have been up approximately 12%. But you can see that it's getting a bit top heavy, and that hang time is definitely real right there. So be careful, because Frax, if you're in it in the long position right now, you should be coming up with a plan to protect those gains, especially if you bought in nice and early. Okay, so protect those gains, trail up the stop loss underneath consolidation, maybe even take a bit of profits to reduce your position size just in case, and that way you are in the green. Okay, so at the end of the day, we see a lot of these altcoins doing pretty good, but look at Terra Luna Classic getting a bit of a pump in the last little while, up approximately 4% today, overall 11% in the last 7 days. I have no idea what's going on here. Maybe Do Kwon is coming out and maybe hitting the streets once again. We'll see what he's up to. But at the end of the day, Terra Luna Classic, you know, showing a bit of strength after a massive sell-off. We know, guys, if you're new to crypto and you want to know what's going on with Terra Luna Classic, I suggest that you do a bunch of research before you even consider buying into this project. I know right now the grind looks great, right? It looks really bullish, but if you don't know what it's about, I guarantee that you will definitely appreciate a deep dive knowing exactly what you're getting into. All right, let's continue looking down, going sideways. Nothing really that interesting. GMX looking okay, but nonetheless, sideways is the basically is on the agenda here for this crypto space, guys. I know it's very boring, and I know I've been saying deep dives are what we should be doing right now, is research, learning, and being patient and taking advantage of the time that we have to master our craft right here. But I think it's even more difficult to just hang around. That's the reality. We get bored, we lose sentiment, we lose our interest, and at the end of the day, this is when we start looking the other way. But as soon as you start looking the other way is when you start to get those reactions. So don't look away for too long, guys. Take a break here and there. But if you're in it for some short-term quick gains, that's unfortunate, because this is not the way this market works. All right, guys. I know you're here to talk about some charts. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. Let's begin our analysis talking about Bitcoin. We see Bitcoin did that little bit of a whipsaw. Guys, I know a lot of people are talking about what happened today, a pump and a retracement, but big picture, it's nothing, right? Nothing really happened, big picture, right? Yesterday, we talked about this bullish divergence. Let me get these oscillators up. You can see lower lows on the price action, and then as we're speaking, we got a nice bullish divergence out of the MACD to the upside and a bit of follow-through price action up. Then we hit this level and got a fat rejection right back to where we came from, but we didn't make a lower low. That's all I gotta say. We didn't make a lower low. So it just means that the market right now is definitely playing games with us, and this is where the majority of the market gets wrecked, when the price action goes sideways. Sideways is where you get the whipsaw, you get the ups and downs, you get the liquidity grabs, you get the fake outs, you get all that annoying price action, because there's no clear conviction in a direction. So what I'm really waiting for is Bitcoin to give me that direction. Okay, so let's get quickly in the daily and recap. This bullish divergence as we speak is still in play. We're in the chop zone on the daily. We can see that, right? We went up and right back down, and we could stay here for the next little while, guys. So be careful getting into any fresh longs without mitigating your risk and understanding the risk that you're in. At the end of the day, if you hold this line, we hold this thick yellow line, that's pretty good, but we're a bit far away from it. So be careful, because we could come down again and potentially test this level for support. If we get to that level again, we might even break below it. That's the reality. Look at the MACD, maybe looking for that cross to the downside. The EMAs looking a bit interesting, but you remember what I said yesterday live, is I don't like the way this thing slopes this way, which means that we could get a bit of a bounce, and I'm not interested when I see this, and I'm not giving it full credit just yet. Look at confused these EMAs look. They don't really look like they want to get for that cross. So let's see what happens in the short term. But at the end of the day, the price action on the daily still in the chop zone, and it's very likely that Bitcoin, after it gets a few people wrecked with a quick swipe of the tops and the bottoms, that we can get a continuation to the upside and get overbought. If that's the case, I'm expecting higher levels for Bitcoin and potentially hitting about 28,800, give or take. If you start looking at the 4-hour, you can see a lot of sideways price action. You can see that the 50 zone is also in the chop zone here for the 4-hour time frame, which means that we can definitely get overbought on the 4-hour as well. So we did kind of lift off. We got that retracement. We want to stay in the chop zone. That's fine. Let it do its thing. But that's the problem. How long are we going to stay here on the 4-hour in the chop zone? So the daily's in the chop zone, and so is the 4-hour, guys. Not a trading scenario for me, ultimately. I want to see what's going on here. I like this level, but you can see that the price action is pretty much at that level. So price action wise, it's not bad if you didn't enter a long on this bullish divergence with a quick stop loss right underneath. It's not bad of a trade setup, anticipating a little bit of a bounce out of here, and of course trailing up your stop loss to at least break even. Considering that we got a rejection and we're testing liquidity at lower levels, the likelihood of an attempt of a breakout is high that we break out, and even if we do get rejected again, it's likely that we continue making higher lows right here. So I'm interested right here, but with a quick tight stop loss right underneath is absolutely great, right? Considering the momentum is moving up, both MACD and the RSI, but the price action is almost at previous lows. So that's not bad from a risk to reward ratio opportunity. All right, guys, let's move on. Today's video is all about DNX. Of course, a really interesting project, Dynex. Guys, this thing rallied up significantly. Okay, so we're going to get into the daily for a second so we can see what's going on big picture. You know, that retracement, you know, the overall scenario here is to wait patiently for oversold conditions. On the daily, we did not get there. In fact, we hesitated in the chop zone. We got a bit of support, and it looks like we're getting a bit of relief to the upside. We saw these nice EMAs looking nice here on the MACD, EMAs facing up with green histogram bars, and we saw a little bit of downward sloping price action here, of course, while we seen the MACD getting a nice bullish divergence, a class A bullish divergence, and then a bit of follow through right here. And that's what we're getting, guys. We're basically breaking out of this W formation and getting a bit of follow through. Now, what does that mean? That basically means that we rallied up really strong. We actually retraced pretty strong as well. In fact, we almost fell through the entire volume gap and hit the bottom of the gap. We'll get there in a second. But you can see that both pump and retracement was quite deep, to the point that right now we're building a bit of an accumulation phase, a support level, and got a nice retracement to the upside. This is all it is. It's a retracement. So it doesn't mean that we're going to go to all-time highs, guys. Of course, it could happen, but we have to anticipate that this is just a retracement move, that we're going to get up maybe to the golden pocket 618 at about $1. That's a very psychological level. But what I like more about it, with the confluence, of course, there's a bit of a level of support that you have to pay attention to, given the fact that you see a diminishing amount of volume above it. The volume slowly diminishes, and you have the previous high. If the previous highs gets broken, now we're making higher highs and higher lows. That's a trend reversal. So let's see what happens, guys. I think the next area to watch out for is right around this area at about $1.95, give or take. I would anticipate that the 0.5 fib would be good too around this level, but really the biggest area for me that's concerning would be slightly below this Fibonacci and maybe slightly below the $1 level. This area right here is quite confluent. So what I'm going to do is going to put a yellow box here just to identify the fact that, look, if we get to this zone, you're in a good zone to take profit regardless. Okay, why? Because I had these green arrows here way early when we retraced. Now we'll talk about momentum, because on the daily it wasn't the greatest time to go long. Guaranteed, going long here was a bit dangerous and a bit scary, right? Because at the end of the day, we could get completely oversold whilst hanging out in the chop zone for the next little while. But we didn't. We decided to come right back up, given that we got a good level of support, and get overbought maybe once again. So golden pocket, maybe that's a good time to start scaling out. Why? Because look at the gains that you've potentially made based off this bounce on the top of the volume gap where I have the green arrow. Right now, you're up 45%. If we happen to get very close to here, you're up 50%, guys. That would be an epic move. Regardless, protect those gains, because this is the level that needs to be protected by the bears. The bears need to come in and make sure that we do not get a higher high. If we get a higher high, guys, the bulls are going to love it, and the trend reversal is in play. Right? So what we're really looking for is like the probability of us getting a rejection. Okay, maybe it's there, and it's probably very likely, especially if the daily gets overbought once again. Maybe a continuation of this bearish divergence. Maybe we start getting an EMA cross, and the MACD starts to look bearish once again. But right now, the EMA and the RSI do not look bearish on the daily. They look okay right now. They look like they're trying to get overbought once again. So we're going to have to get into lower time frames, because the daily's not giving us any signal. No buy signals or sell signals, meaning that we should just be holding and appreciating the fact that this thing is trying to get up to slightly higher levels. Let's go to the 4 hour for a second here. Now, what we want to also pay attention to is the fact that we made a higher high right here on the price action, and the current situation here on the RSI is we are double topping. Obviously, no confirmations whatsoever. I'm just trying to equip you with some of the ideas going forward in the next couple hours or days. If we could maintain a double top scenario, if we do, guys, that's class B bearish divergence. Be careful, because this thing could roll over. Okay. Now, if we invalidate it, it just means that we made a higher high on the RSI, while the price action is making a higher high as well, which means that there's no edge here. This thing's continuing to go up. Let it run up. And that also correlates with the MACD. If the MACD gets an EMA cross, or also a cluster of histogram bars that are double topish, that would be class A, class B bearish divergence right here. So nothing confirmed here on the 4 hour. The only thing that we can say is that we did attempt to break below this volume gap. And of course, we entered the volume gap. We didn't have enough strength to get below to the bottom of the volume gap, but we definitely got completely oversold, right? That's the signal. The oversold scenario here, downward sloping price action grinding to the downside, and then you start to see a divergence on the MACD. The MACD histograms are moving up while the price action is coming down. The RSI didn't give us bullish divergence. Okay, fine, but we're definitely in a zone to potentially take a bit of risk, given the fact that, you know, right here we were testing the double top. Yes, we broke right through. If you had conviction, maybe you would have scattered right into this level. This was my next level of DCA. I didn't get triggered, but all good. You know why? Because right now we're net positive. Okay, net positive scenario. Again, we're up about approximately 45% just on this green arrow. Forget the one at the bottom. Just from here to here, you're up significantly. So right now, this is the time to potentially look at the fact that we could get exhausted here. The bulls could get exhausted, and now you want to get defensive to protect those gains. Again, regard these areas, keep them very close, keep them very tight. These are the areas. This area right here is where the bears are going to want to protect. We have some confluence of the golden pocket. We may get a bit of divergence here. I'm going to leave this idea going sideways so that we can keep track of it. But at the end of the day, this is what I'm really looking for, and keeping an eye on the MACD in the short term. A nice bounce to the upside, guys. Really, really well down. Now, what I'm trying to see is what is the 1 hour showing. Nothing much. Very overbought. Very overbought. Continue grinding up. Let it go. Let it go. Don't try to catch basically the opposite of catching a falling knife. Don't try to time the tops. It's very, very difficult. Let some data come in, and then slowly start scaling out bit by bit. DCA in, DCA out, guys. So far this is looking really, really good for Dynex. Now I wonder what's happening on the 4-day. Okay, the 4-day is an interesting thing, of course, because we get a big picture data. This is really looking nice in the sense that we've maybe are looking for that back test on the higher time frames on momentum. I'm expecting a lower high. Ultimately, I don't expect a higher high. If we do get that higher high, we're going to the 1.27 extension level. That could be very possible. I'm just going to put that there just to keep you in check with what could happen from a very aggressive bullish scenario. If it does get there, I would be aggressively taking profits for sure. And of course, if you continue going up, we have the extension levels, golden pocket 1.618 extension level to actually look out for, because you never know, overnight this thing might just wake up and impulse much harder. But I highly doubt it. Probability is, given the fact that our current scenario in the market is very indecisive, we're in a transitionary phase into the bull run. These phases generally are boring and weak in the sense that we get deep retracements without conviction, and it's likely that we get a rejection and come back down. The question is when. Again, I'm trying to protect myself here. And back to the 4 hour, just to kind of make everything, sync up everything. The volume is kind of getting a bit strong here, but the last impulse wasn't as strong as the first impulse, which leads me to believe that, maybe it's not as strong as it should in order to break above some higher levels, especially above these tops, bottoms, and tops. You can see the importance of this yellow line right here, and very confluent to the golden pocket. So top, bottom, and top again. These are areas where you expect a reaction to happen. All right, guys, we're doing well. Don't forget, I'm live tonight at 7:30 Eastern, where we talk about crypto news and price action. If you want to join, feel free, because I definitely cover a lot of projects. And if you have any that you want to request, I'll put them in top priority. Feel free to join me on those socials. The links are in the description below. Join the Discord, guys. The Discord is a great community. Lots of good alpha, trade setups, fundamentals, and all that good stuff. Take care. Have a good one. And don't forget, buy the dip.